UFC 314 takes place this Saturday in Miami, Florida. And in the main event, we will see the long-awaited return of the former featherweight champion, Alexander the Great Volkanovski, as he takes on surging Brazilian contender Diego Lopes. A lot of people are counting Alexander Volkanovski out, but I don't think so. And I'm going to tell you why. Stay right here. What is going on, guys? Dino Bam Bam here with the 10-7 MMA. Happy to be back in your lives. Now, this weekend, we do have Alexander the Great Volkanovski versus Diego Lopes for the vacant 145-pound title. And a lot of people are counting Alexander Volkanovski out, guys. I get it. Diego Lopes is dangerous, but I think we're kind of overcorrecting here, right? We're seeing the betting odds start to shrink. We're starting to see all the memes and jokes on social media. And so many people are worried about Alexander Volkanovski's chin. I just don't think so, guys. I think Alexander Volkanovski is a whole nother level compared to Diego Lopes. Now, let me start by saying this, guys. I don't want anyone thinking I'm underestimating Diego Lopes, okay? I understand the danger that Diego Lopes brings. I understand the power. I understand the submission skills. I don't want you to think that I'm out here pretending this is going to be an easy fight. I'm just letting you know what I see. Now, when it comes to Diego Lopes, the scariest thing that we're all thinking of, right? It's the thing that's at the top of our mind, especially me as a Volkanovski fan. I'm going to be very upfront with that. The thing that we're worried about for Volk is the chin, right? So we're worried that a guy with power like Diego Lopes is going to be able to crack Volkanovski, and we don't know how his chin's going to hold up. Now, when it comes to the power, we saw Ilia Topuria put him out. We saw Islam Makhachev put him out. And in both of those fights, phenomenal setups, right? Islam Makhachev, great setups when he was kicking downstairs, kicking to the body, threw the one upstairs, masterfully done. When it came to Ilia Topuria, just an absolutely beautiful combination. When it comes to Diego Lopes, guys, I don't think he's going to be able to set anything up as beautifully as those two guys would in the striking, right? Diego Lopes's power is very wide. It's very loopy. He causes car crashes, and credit to the guy. He does a damn good job at doing that. And what he does a lot of, which is another credit to Diego Lopes, is counter. Diego Lopes will not allow you to come in there for free. Anything you do will get countered. You throw a jab, he's countering. You throw a leg kick, he's countering. And he's going to stand there and he's going to brawl while he counters. Now, the thing is, if I've seen it, if some of you guys have seen it, I'm sure Alexander Volkanovski and Joe Lopez and all those guys down there have seen this. But Diego Lopes's counters are very predictable, guys. He throws the same damn counters every time. And it's every time that he's countering, right? He's going to throw the wild overhand right, followed by a left hook, either to the body or upstairs. Once in a while, he'll throw a third shot, which is going to be that right hook. We have seen the anomalies, right? A knee thrown up the middle here, a leg kick over here, an uppercut that he caught Dan Ige with. So we've seen him do some other things, but generally speaking, those are his counters. Now, Alexander Volkanovski is such a technical striker, and he's so much better than Diego Lopes striking technique-wise, right? Volkanovski is sharp. He's a master of movement. Being a guy with a shorter frame, I know they say his reach is really long. It's not. He's got a short reach as well, but he uses it to his advantage. Think about the fights with Max Holloway. Masterful by Volkanovski. In and out movement, avoiding big shots from Max Holloway, and just being able to get in and out on a striker like Max Holloway, who's a speed striker. And Max wasn't able to touch him. Max is faster than these guys as far as the striking is concerned, and he wasn't able to do much with Volk. I think what Volk's going to need to do on the feet is draw some, like he's going to need to feint and draw some of those movements out of Diego Lopes, right? Big drastic reactions. We want Volk coming in there, maybe picking at the leg, step in and feint the jab, right? Have this guy ready to throw something big. Have him throw something and just hit air. We want Diego Lopes throwing big shots and kind of tiring himself out. I think when it comes to the striking, as long as Alexander Volkanovski stays safe and stays sound in those first two rounds, it's going to get progressively easier throughout the fight to stay on the feet because Diego Lopes is naturally going to slow down. One more thing, when it comes to the striking, avoid the clinch. Alexander Volkanovski has to avoid the clinch like the goddamn plague, okay? Because Diego Lopes does some nasty work there, and he's able to generate amazing power in such a short distance. So I think if it stays on the feet, which every fight starts on the feet, Diego Lopez is going to be there. He's going to be doing what he does. I don't think he's really going to change his recipe. He's going to want to take Volk's head off, and Volk's going to need to draw big shots out of him, big actions out of him, and just basically make him miss early on. He's going to get slower as the fight goes on, and that's going to fare well for Alexander Volkanovski. Now, when it comes to the ground game, guys, this is another thing I've seen people talking about. Diego Lopez, super high level submission skills, right? He's a submission coach down with Alexa Grasso and them at the gym, and he's a black belt. And guys, we've seen some phenomenal things out of him on the ground, right? The Movsar Evloev fight, comes to mind. We saw him scrambling and putting Movsar in very dangerous submissions. That's a dangerous grappler in his own right, Movsar Evloev. But regardless, when it comes to the ground game, I don't think that he has the ability to take this fight to the ground. The only way that Diego Lopez gets this fight to the ground, if it's not Alexander Volkanovski's doing, is by dropping Volk. He's not going to be able to take him down with the pure wrestling. His wrestling is just simply not good enough, and Volk's takedown defense is phenomenal. We saw Islam struggle with him. The only other person that I could think of that's even taken him down is Brian Ortega. Nobody's taken Volk down. I don't think Diego Lopez is going to be able to. Now, Volk may mix in some of the wrestling. I can see that being a path that he wants to take in this fight because Volk doesn't really have to worry about getting submitted, guys. I understand that Diego Lopez is dangerous, but really, MMA math shouldn't really be mathing, right? But if Islam Makhachev had your back for an entire round and for multiple minutes, and Brian Ortega had you in those deep-ass subs and they weren't able to do it, why in the world would Diego Lopez be able to submit Alexander Volkanovski? Also, Volkanovski, for what it's worth, been working with Craig Jones, who, if you guys don't know, one of the greatest jiu-jitsu practitioners in the world right now and a much bigger dude than Diego Lopez. I just don't see how Diego Lopez subs Alexander Volkanovski besides, I guess, dropping him, hurting him, and then, the neck's just open. I think on the ground, Volk is safe. I wouldn't mind a game plan of Volk using wrestling early on in this fight. One or two, the first or second round. Take some of the steam out of Diego Lopez's shots, right? Make sure that Volk kind of gets a feel for the fight, gets that rhythm, and maybe shakes off some of those cobwebs, shakes off some of that doubt. I think it's an okay plan. I don't know what their game plan is, but I wouldn't mind seeing that. Now, the big weakness, I'll call it a weakness, that a lot of people are talking about with Diego Lopez is his cardio. We saw the Dan Ige fight, and that makes people think that, he has shitty cardio. There were some weird circumstances around that fight as far as the weigh-ins, and he had to weigh in, I think, 3 times. Dan Ige came in on short notice. I know Diego Lopez had a full camp, but he basically fought that fight like 30 pounds heavier than he was supposed to. So that'll deplete you naturally. I don't necessarily think Diego Lopez has a cardio issue. I mean, the guy works hard. He's in great shape. We do see him slow down in fights, that's for sure. And again, those are 3-rounders. Take that for what it's worth. But we do see him slow down. But I think the reason for that is because he is that fucking buzzsaw, right? He comes out so goddamn aggressive. He swings with all of his energy. He puts everything into every shot. And I think naturally that's just going to slow you down. So that was part of the reason, basically that I was saying earlier. The later this fight goes, the better it is for Alexander Volkanovski. I think the steam gets taken out of Diego Lopez's shots. And then maybe he does start getting tired around round 3, guys. We get to rounds 4 and 5. I just don't see how in the world he's going to beat Alexander Volkanovski. Volk's cardio is up there. He's second to only Merab at this point in the UFC. It's prime Colby Covington levels, right? For some of you older fans, it's prime GSP levels. This is a guy in Alexander Volkanovski, and I hate to use the term, but he can weaponize pace better than damn near anybody on the planet. And I don't see Volk losing this fight because he got tired, right? And I think in Volkanovski's mind, guys, there's a few things going on here. I don't think he's worried necessarily about getting subbed, right? As I said, he's got rounds and rounds of experience with Islam Makhachev on his back. Ortega had him in the choke. He spent literally just days and days worth of time with Craig Jones and Aljamain Sterling and all these kind of guys trying to sub him. And he's ready for that. I don't think he's worried about the ground game. I don't think he's worried about the cardio. He's been putting in the work. He's at a 16-week camp now. There might be that little bit of doubt in Alexander Volkanovski. He's been knocked out twice in a row, guys. And to me, that is really the only fear. It's not the fact that I don't think he can take a shot anymore. It's the fact that his mental game might just not be there, right? He may want to avoid big shots. And in doing that, anytime you change up your game plan, you might fuck yourself up, right? Like in baseball, they always say your swing brought you to the majors. Don't change that. With Volkanovski, who you are as a fighter brought you to the belt. So I hope there is not that seed of doubt in Alexander Volkanovski. Anyways, guys, I think besides the first, 10 minutes of this fight where I'm going to be nervous as hell, hopefully we get past that point. I think Alexander Volkanovski wins himself a decision. Can he get a finish? Absolutely. I think he can get a TKO late in this fight, especially if Lopez is tiring the way that I expect him to. Again, I get it. Diego Lopez is dangerous. He could win this fight, guys. Don't come at my neck. Just let me know in the comments below what you think is going to happen. Who do you got winning in the main event this weekend? Is it going to be Alexander Volkanovski or is it going to be Diego Lopez? As always, guys, my name is Dino Bam Bam. This was D107 MMA. If you guys enjoyed, hook your boys up with a subscribe. Smash that subscribe button. Leave a thumbs up. We drop all sorts of videos here. We will be dropping a full card breakdown tomorrow with predictions, me and my boy DS. So look forward to that. So thank you guys so much for watching. Peace.